Welcome to Wallace and Wire. Today we're talking about Shafie Apdal's assessment of Sabah's deeply unstable political future. The dust has, it's barely settled from the recent Sabah state election, but the political air is still just so charged.
It is. We're not talking about small disagreements here.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It feels like a fundamental challenge to the entire government's legitimacy. And the sharpest words, really, came from Shafie Apdal, the president of Parti Warisan Sabah.
Warisan, yeah. His statement on November 30th wasn't just speculation.
It was an assessment. He basically laid out a case that the current government is, living on borrowed time?
That's the perfect way to put it, and it all boils down to the political math. His central point is that Gabungan Rakyat Sabah GRS, they formed the government, sure, but they critically, and I mean critically, fail to get an absolute majority on their own.
Okay, so let's break that down for everyone. An absolute majority. What does that actually mean in the Sabah State Assembly?
Well, you have 73 elected seats. So to have real control, an absolute majority, you need 37.
37. And GRS got
29. They are 8 seats short of being able to govern without constantly looking over their shoulder.
Wow. So their entire majority is built on,
Yeah.
on these fragile deals with smaller parties and independents?
Exactly. It's a house of cards. And every single vote, whether it's for a budget or a simple policy, becomes this high-stakes negotiation.
So Shafie Apdal's whole premise is that this isn't a stable government. It's just a temporary deal waiting for the first big disagreement to just fall apart.
Precisely. And that's the core of Warisan's entire strategy right now. For him, because they didn't hit that 37-seat magic number, the whole landscape is just fundamentally unstable. It's unreliable.
Okay, but let's push back on that a little, this idea of unstable governance. In multi-party systems, slim majorities happen all the time, right?
Yeah.
Especially in a state as diverse as Sabah. Why is Shafie so convinced this specific arrangement is doomed?
Because he's not just looking at the numbers, he's pointing directly to recent history. And that history is brutal. He specifically brought up the failed coalition between, Gabungan Rakyat Sabah and Warisan National. It's his Exhibit A.
And that partnership was formed in a similar way, wasn't it? Sort of hastily put together, no huge undeniable mandate.
Exactly the same context. And it just broke apart under the weight of internal power struggles. There was no cohesion. Shafie is essentially saying, look, we've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends.
So repeating the same formula, the same bare majority math,
Guarantees the same result, political implosion.
that is a very powerful warning. It makes you ask, what's the real value of just gaining power right now if the structure itself is broken? What's the point of holding the chief minister's office if the state is just paralyzed?
According to Shafie Apdal, it's a total misplacement of priorities. His argument is that Sabah has suffered enough from this constant churn. The musical chairs in the chief minister's office. And this endless instability, it does more than just annoy people. It actively harms the state's ability to function. He believes this government simply cannot deliver the real long-term stability that Sabah needs to actually develop.
And that instability, it's not just a political problem at Kota Kinabalu. It has real-world consequences for everyday Sabahans, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It creates a state of paralysis. When a government is constantly worried about survival counting heads, managing defections, fighting off election rumors, they stop governing.
They stop planning for the long term.
Completely. Think about it. Those huge multi-year infrastructure projects, highways, rural internet, water supply, they get delayed or even canceled because of policy U-turns every time the government changes.
So a new coalition comes in, scraps the last guy's big project, and suddenly millions, maybe billions of ringgit just go down the drain.
Exactly. And businesses, investors, they hate uncertainty more than anything. Why would you commit serious capital to Sabah if you think the rules could be totally rewritten in 18 months?
It stalls everything. Job creation, economic growth.
And it prevents any real progress on the issues that are core to Sabah's identity. We're talking about land rights, education, managing natural resources. Shafie's whole point is that the people of Sabah are the ones paying the price for the politicians' inability to create a stable system.
That really reframes the whole conversation. It's not about winning seats anymore. It's about building a stable state. And that brings us to Shafie's other big point, the philosophical pivot.
Yes. He's drawing a very clear line in the sand. He's defining Warisan's mission now as putting the people first, not just the pursuit of power.
Which is a clever strategic move. Instead of jumping into messy coalition talks to grab power now, he's positioning his party as the the grown-up in the room, the unifying force.
That's exactly his claim. He said, and this is a powerful quote, "The most important thing right now is to unite all Sabahans so that the voices of Sabahans are truly heard."
That statement positions Warisan above the fray. It's like he's saying, while they're all fighting for positions, we're focused on the people. He's claiming the moral high ground.
He is.
Yeah.
And he's using this crisis of instability to redefine what his party is all about.
But you have to ask the question, right? Is this a genuine philosophy, or is it just smart politics? Is he positioning Warisan to be the obvious choice when the current government, as he predicts, inevitably collapses?
I mean, in politics, it's almost always a bit of both, isn't it? But the logic is sound. A fractured government can't deliver services effectively no matter who the chief minister is.
If you're always focused on just surviving, you're not focused on the state.
Right. So Warisan is signaling that their job unifying Sabahans, building consensus, that job is continuous. It doesn't stop just because they lost an election. They see themselves as the long-term solution.
So they use their time in opposition to become the stable home base, consolidate local support, and wait for a real mandate to emerge. That takes a lot of patience in politics.
It does, but that patience gives them incredible leverage. If, or as Shafie would say, when the GRS coalition stumbles, Warisan is right there, positioned as the principled, unified, and truly local alternative.
Okay, but this patience, it doesn't mean they've closed the door completely. The source says Warisan has a cautiously open attitude to working with Gabungan Rakyat Sabah. Why even leave that door ajar if you're so convinced they're going to fail?
Because you always have to consider the art of the possible. But, and this is the crucial part, they aren't just open to anyone. They have set these incredibly strict, non-negotiable conditions. They've created a litmus test.
The truly local litmus test. Let's get into that. What is this condition he's laid out?
He demands that any partner must be a truly indigenous or local party. And he's very clear, this isn't about where your headquarters is. It's about your political loyalty and your actions.
He used some really strong language there. He basically called out parties that are local in name, but not local in action. Sounds like he's deeply skeptical about who's really pulling the strings for some of these groups.
It's a direct challenge to their identity. He's forcing them to prove that their decisions aren't being dictated by interests from peninsular Malaysia. He believes some parties claim to be local, but their track record just doesn't reflect the unique interests of the people of Sabah.
So what are those local interests? What's the measure? We must be talking about the big issues, like the Malaysia Agreement 1963, right?
Exactly. MA 63, control over oil and gas, state autonomy on land, on immigration. These are the things that matter.
So if a party consistently votes in a way that gives more control over Sabah's resources to the federal government in Kuala Lumpur,
they fail the test. If they aren't aggressively fighting for the rights promised under the Malaysia Agreement 1963, they fail the test. It's a simple question. Are you prioritizing your national party connections, or are you prioritizing the future of Sabah?
it's a purity test then, designed to filter out anyone seen as a proxy for a national political machine. The implication is huge. He's saying Warisan would rather stay in opposition than partner with a group that compromises Sabah's interests.
And that's the ultimate strategic play. It forces every single party in the Gabungan Rakyat Sabah coalition to look in the mirror and ask where their real allegiance lies. Are they truly for Sabah, or are they just a tool for a bigger national game? If it's the latter, Shafie Apdal has drawn a line. No deal.
That effectively puts the current government in a trap. They have to govern on this razor's edge, knowing the main opposition is just waiting, and judging every single move they make against this really high standard of truly local commitment.
And he's made it clear he's in no rush. He said he's focused on his own party's post-election duties for now. Any big decisions on strategy, on who they might partner with, that's all on hold until the State Assembly actually convenes.
The timing there is so important. It keeps the pressure squarely on the government to hold their fragile coalition together, while Warisan gets to position itself as the only stable alternative. So let's just pull this all together. Shafie Apdal has defined the entire post-election landscape as being fundamentally unstable, both by the numbers and by history. And at the same time, he's created this incredibly high bar for any future partnership, a test of pure, uncompromised loyalty to Sabah.
Right. The big takeaway here is that Warisan is choosing what it sees as ideological consistency and long-term stability over a quick, fragile grab for power. And the question that leaves hanging over everything is this: Will this demand for truly local action actually force the current alliances to restructure? Or will they just choose expediency, anything to cling to power? That right there is the battle for the soul of Sabah politics that you should be watching.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.